This is a special presentation of EA Sports from the Coliseum in Oakland, our tribute to the coach, the John Madden Legacy Game. I'm Brandon Gaudin here to take you through the proceedings, and coming up, we're going to tell the story of a man who was truly larger than life and whose impact on the sport of football certainly is going to live on for decades and decades to come. Now, we've assembled a couple of rosters featuring some of Coach's favorite players from both yesterday and today, and Coach himself will be on the sidelines for both squads, try to motivate his guys to victory. Now, I'm joined now by my good friend Charles Davis. CD, your thoughts on John Madden and what he meant to the sport he loves so much?
For me, Brandon, it's the word joy. He brought that to the game of football, brought the game to so many people. He stayed involved his entire life. And moving forward, when you think of football, you're always going to think John Madden.
The Coliseum back to its original 70s glory. What a scene in the East Bay. And we're underway in the John Madden Legacy Game. And they're going to start this drive in pretty good shape up past the 30. So it's the NFC stars who will get the ball first. And Charles, as we alluded to, we've got a different era of coach on each sideline. So the man coaching this NFC squad, we'll call him Young John Madden. This is a coach who was trying to establish a foothold in the NFL and on the cusp of doing it very successfully.
Yeah, you think back to that period, those early days as the coach of the Raiders, the late 60s in the AFL, and then in the NFL in the early 70s. Coach was a guy who was ahead of his time. The Raiders were one of the first teams to have mini camps, one of the first to film practice, because he wanted to practice coaching as much as he could. And his teams, they were successful right from the start of his head coaching tenure.
Yeah, this will leave him a yard short. Nice pickup of 9 yards on first down. The last run got 9. That leaves him with second and a yard. They'll go again with Sanders. And some good acceleration there as he's across midfield to the 48-yard line. 12 yards there and a first down. So as we mentioned at the top, let's take you through the life of John Madden. And, you know, it's very fitting that we're here back in the Bay Area, not just because John's so associated with Raider football, but also because this was where he spent his formative years.
Yeah, he grew up over in Daly City with his buddy John Robinson, who would also become an NFL head coach. And he played his high school ball at Jefferson High, eventually wound up playing tackle at the University of Oregon and later Cal Poly San Luis Obispo. Played well enough that in 1958, he was a 21st round draft pick of the Philadelphia Eagles. That's right, the draft had 30 rounds then.
On second down, Favre. And that'll be incomplete. Took a pretty good shot as he tried to pull that one in. Couldn't hang on third down. They'll need to get this to the 38. That's where the first down marker is here on third. Able to haul it in is Kittle. He's going to pick up the first down and then some. And they're going to be set up down around the 15-yard line. A big play there on the catch and run, and it'll result in a fresh set of downs. Charles, you mentioned Coach was a 21st round draft pick back in 1958. It was the Philadelphia Eagles who selected him. But unfortunately for John, knee problems, they just continued to dog him. He was hurt in his first training camp, actually never saw the field as a player in the NFL. But it was still during his time with the Eagles, you and I were talking about this before going on air, that you could start to see the light bulb going on for what his career path might entail.
And it went on in a big way, didn't it? Because while he was rehabbing his knee, he started to spend a lot of time breaking down film with the Eagles, with quarterback Norm Van Brocklin, the future Hall of Famer and future head coach in the NFL. Remember, Van Brocklin coached with the Falcons, he coached with the Vikings. And it was there during that time, I think Coach Madden realized his love of football and love for teaching, combining all that together, and that meant being a football coach. So in 1960, began his coaching career at a small college south of San Luis Obispo called Allen Hancock, and then later at San Diego State University under another legendary coach, the guy who could throw it around pretty well, Don Coryell.
To throw is Favre. This will be caught just inside the 10. Touchdown! George Kittle from 13 yards out. And the NFC has taken the early lead. Extra point by Anderson, up and good. And it's now a 7-0 game. So that drive takes him down the field in 8 plays. And it all ends with a George Kittle touchdown. Following the touchdown, here's Anderson to kick it away. Fielded just outside the goal line. And he won't quite make it to the 25. So, Charles, as mentioned, we've got another Coach Madden over here on the AFC sideline. Of course, his Raiders, members of the AFC West. So this is a conference he battled in for his entire career. And you think about the landscape of the NFL as he was getting into the back half of his tenure. It was a golden era for coaches. You had Don Shula, Tom Landry, Chuck Noll, Bud Grant. But it was John Madden who had the best winning percentage of them all, CD. 759, the best ever.
Brandon, it's hard to believe he could be so successful in a conference with all those great teams. The Steelers won 4 Super Bowls. The Dolphins won 2 and were a mainstay in the playoffs. The Colts were tough. The Broncos came on late and went to a Super Bowl themselves. But against Hall of Fame coaches, John Madden's record, 36, 16, and 2. That's pretty incredible. His Raiders were a factor each and every year.
Well, Charles, you know, it was in the early 1960s that a young John Madden made the acquaintance of the owner of the Oakland Raiders, one Al Davis, of course, and the two, they really bonded, would become one of the best owner-coach duos in NFL history. And to take it a step further, Al Davis became someone who John referred to as his best friend.
Yeah, in 1967, Brandon, Al Davis hired Coach Madden to be a linebackers coach. Remember, this was still the AFL at that point. We had not merged totally with the NFL. And Coach Madden, he paid dividends almost immediately. Helped the Raiders win the AFL title in 1968. And that meant a date for the Green Bay Packers in what was now known as Super Bowl II. But by 1969, at the age of 32, just 32, Brandon, John Madden assumed the mantle of head coach of the Oakland Raiders. And what a ride he, the Raiders, and the NFL were about to go on.
Brady now to throw. And this is going to be incomplete.
You got to give some credit. They're able to hop up in the air and bat that one away. And that's frustrating for an offensive lineman because the only recourse is when he goes in the air to try and get some type of pop or a shove, hoping to bring his arms down.
Brady going to go on 4th down. Sliding out of the pocket. And they're able to work this across midfield to the 48. Charles, you talked about John Madden and the Raiders going on a ride. Well, try these numbers on for size. In 10 seasons as a head coach, the Raiders won their division 7 times. They finished second the other 3 times. And he became the youngest coach to amass 100 career regular season victories and is still, to this day, the franchise leader in wins.
And when you think about it, that's where that rivalry with Kansas City really took root, as did the expression commitment to excellence. And boy, was it personified by the players who played for Coach Madden. On offense, how about quarterback Kenny Stabler, wide receiver Cliff Branch, wide receiver Fred Biletnikoff, tight end Dave Casper, to name a few. How about this great lineman he had? Center Jim Otto, guard Gene Upshaw, tackle Art Shell, all of them in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. And guys on the defensive side of the ball, the Mad Stork himself, Ted Hendricks, Willie Brown, John Matuzak, Otis Sistrunk, and Big Ben Davidson. So many great players, so many great memories.
And that is incomplete. A lot of force bearing down on him there. He could not hang on. It's 3rd down. Charles, you think about all the success that John Madden had as an NFL head coach, and he had plenty, and we talked about it, including the 10 straight winning seasons, a Super Bowl title. But like any great coach, he also suffered through a few tough losses along the way as well.
And Brandon, those tough losses came in high-stakes games because they always had such great success. Think about it this way. 6 times in his 10 years, the Raiders were knocked out near the AFL championship game or the AFC championship game. But might be a divisional round exit. That's the one that bothered him most of all. Three River Stadium, December 1972. Yes, the Immaculate Reception game. Franco Harris grabbing the ball that was deflected. Almost at his shoe tops, he picked it up and took it in for a game-winning score to give the Steelers a 13-7 victory. And partner, anyone who loves black and silver still doesn't believe that ball hit anyone in black and silver that day. And that play should...
Trying to find Cup, but it's intercepted. Picked off by Stephon Gilmore. And he is going to score. It's a pick six and an AFC touchdown.
Well, that's what you get, apparently, when you try to take on a Pro Bowl cornerback. And what a play there to make the interception and also bring it back for 6.
And he is so good that we've seen teams absolutely stay away from throwing the ball at him. Here, he's just reading the quarterback's eyes the entire way, makes a great play on the football, and turns it into 6.
Vinatieri able to tack on the PAT, and we are tied at 7. So the defense creating some points, not only getting the interception, but then returning it to the end zone for the pick 6. So all even at 7 now as they kick it away.
From way up at the 23. And they'll be set up pretty nicely here as they have it up to the 35-yard line. Ready to begin their next drive here, the NFC offense.
After the pick 6, they go right back to the air. Pressure, and the AFC gets to him for the sack.
2 minutes remain here, the first half of the John Madden Legacy game. We'll be back.
After the sack here, 2nd and 11.
Here's Favre to throw.
This one into the hands of Kittle, the tight end. They'll get to the line here, but remember, it's also 3rd down.
From the gun, it's Favre. That's swung out wide to Sanders.
They'll get only a yard out of that, and it'll bring up 4th down.
How about that strategy there, Brandon? 3rd down. They just said, we've got faith in our tackles. We'll give you the short stuff, and just decided to protect the sticks. So every time I hear fans telling me tackling's not a part of the game anymore, plays like that, I can clip and save and show them you have to tackle well if you want to be a good defense.
And this one hits at the 1, continues on into the end zone for a touchback.
The AFC making their way out, and it's one of Coach's favorites, another local guy, Tom Brady, who will be at the controls. And boy, Coach always admired the way number 12 could run an offense, and especially his ability to stay calm under pressure.
Tom Brady is a guy who's always looking downfield. He never looks at the rush. He hangs in the pocket, and he makes a throw. He's a cool guy, and he's a tough guy. Let me tell you, there's no one calmer in the pocket than Tom Brady.
And I know that Coach has a great appreciation for Tom Brady, who turned 45 back on August 3rd, because Coach coached a guy like him in George Blanda, who played a long time in the NFL. In this game, it features legends and active players. Tom Brady qualifies as both.
He's going to fire one deep, middle of the field.
And this is incomplete. Well played defensively, nearly had the interception, but it's 2nd down.
Now Brady. Pressure comes and down he goes. Now the NFC going to call the first of their 3 timeouts, as the clock's going to stop with 47 seconds to go in half number 1. And some secondary help here for the defense in the nickel on 3rd and long. Play action. Now it's Brady. And that's going to be incomplete. The coverage too good there. The contact popped the ball free, and it's 4th down.
Oh, I thought he had that one, and that was nearly a big 3rd down conversion to give this drive some life. Instead, they're on the spot and help separate the receiver from the ball.
And on 4th down, on is the punt team sending this one away. That'll go as a punt of 32 yards. And the NFC is going to have a short field as they take over 1st and 10.
And they go play action with Favre.
Completes it to the tight end, Kittle. And he'll go out of bounds after taking it a little further down inside the 40.
From the 39-yard line, here comes 2nd down at 6. Throwing is Favre. And on the catch right side, this is Sanders. And he takes this just a few yards shy of the red zone before going out. 16 yards, a first down. Favre. That'll be caught. It's Cup. Now the NFC going to take a timeout, their second, as the clock will stop with 20 seconds to go in the first half. Two big plays in succession. Not sure this D knows what hit him, but now they got to get ready. It's first and goal. And that's going to be caught. Touchdown NFC. Jerry Rice, as the first half is winding down. And the NFC has taken the lead. Extra point by Anderson, up and good. And that makes the score 14-7. So not much time to speak of remaining in this first half as the kick's away from the 6. And out a little across the 25 to the 27. The offense for the AFC set to go now. And with time quickly fading here in the second quarter, not sure how aggressively, offensively they want to play this.
I think we'll find out just how much they trust their guys in this situation if they decide to take a shot. Well, partner, they're not content to run this one out as we head towards the half, trying to hit a big chunk play right there and add to their score.
Now, this is a confident group. At the very least, they're thinking field goal.
Yeah, and I don't blame them one bit. I don't think you sit on the ball going into the half when you have a chance to put some more points on the board.
And with just 1 second remaining in the first half, they'll call the timeout. The final shot before half for Brady. On the move to his left. Now he's going to let it go deep left side. And it's incomplete. Took a shot, couldn't connect.
Well, coming up in the second half, we'll run through John's post-coaching triumphs. But for now, we present a very special tribute to the man of the hour, narrated by Trey Mosley.
What comes to mind when you hear the name Madden? Is it the coach who led the Raiders to their first Super Bowl victory? Perhaps it's the broadcaster who entertained millions of fans. Or maybe it's the video game known simply by his name. But no matter what comes to mind when you hear the name Madden, everyone thinks of one thing: football.
The core of it was football. It's the greatest game in the world. The left goes to the right goes to the left. Madden is on the field. He wants to know if it's real. John Madden goes on the shoulders of his players.
In my mind, John Madden is the most important figure in the history of professional football. Show me somebody else who did it on 3 levels the way John did it. There's nobody.
Boy, Charles, yeah, that is really well done. Coach was something else, wasn't he?
I'm reminded what Al Davis said when he was inducted coach of the Pro Football Hall of Fame, Brandon. He loved the game. He loved his team. He loved the Raiders. He loved this league. And you can see it with everything he does.
No doubt. But it's quite possible, though, that now he would say, hey, enough of that. Let's play some football. The second half forthcoming from Oakland.
AFC offense set to take their next drive.
Well, Charles, we saw a pretty entertaining first half, close ball game. Remember there toward the end of the second quarter, the opposition scored to take the lead. Now we'll see if these guys can get a score of their own to regain that lead.
Yeah, they want to have that type of a response, don't they? Because they want to find a way to take control of this ball game one more time. Gauntlet's been thrown down. They want to see if they're ready to answer it.
From the 27, Brady. And this one incomplete. Too much contact to hold on to that one, and it's third down.
So now, Charles, to pick up the story we've been telling, John Madden at 42. He just completed a 10-year stint as the coach of the Raiders. He wants to step away a bit from the grind of coaching, but he doesn't want to step away from the game of football. So he ends up signing on with CBS in 1979 to try his hand at broadcasting. And much like his coaching career, he was pretty much an instant success.
Partner, he really connected with the people right from the start, and people may not remember he wasn't even on the #1 team in the beginning. He worked his way up. But the same things that made him a great coach made him a great broadcaster. The ability to show the big picture, yet break it down into the details. That's what he did with his teams. That's what he did with the people. That way, he was simple to understand, yet insightful for viewers. And he did with that big personality that he had, one that connected with everyone.
So for Coach Madden, Charles, by 1981, his broadcasting career is really taking off. He's elevated to the network's #1 booth that calls all the big matchups. And he gets the plum assignment of calling Super Bowl 16, 49ers and Bengals, and he's teamed up with Pat Summerall. And that pairing ultimately would go on to be one of the most influential in sports broadcasting history.
Influential not just in us listening to them. Remember, they went on and called 8 Super Bowls together. But how they put together kind of the template that all of us broadcasters follow now. Sitting down with the head coaches and the quarterbacks and the stars of each team before a ball game to get extra information. And the way that those two paired together, Pat Summerall, short, concise, to the point, and turned it over to Coach Madden to fill in all the big details.
Again, it's Ricard, the fullback. And he's got the first down yardage before being taken down at midfield.
As you mentioned, CD, talking about John Madden, the broadcaster, he called 8 Super Bowls with Pat Summerall, 3 more with Al Michaels later in his career. He spent nearly 3 decades in the booth all told. And not only was he beloved for his mannerisms, we know that, but he was an innovator as well.
Yeah, Brandon, you talk about things like the telestrator, which totally became identified with him, and now it's a staple for all analysts to have in the booth. And then you think about things like turducken on Thanksgiving, when he used words like boom and pow. He helped create the ALL Madden team. He was a very popular commercial pitch man. And even the Madden Cruiser was unique, and you had to be someone to get a ride on it, too.
But nothing there.
Now, CD, we did get a little ahead of ourselves talking about John Madden, the broadcaster in the 90s and 2000s, because there was another product during that time period that he became quite famous for. It's something that you and I know a little bit about, and that's the video game that bears his name. Originally John Madden Football when it was first released back in the late 1980s, and now known the world over simply as Madden.
And Coach saw this originally as a way to teach the game of football. The early designs were for a 7-on-7 game, but he said no chance. He would not sign off on it. He wanted to be as realistic as possible. He told them, call me when it's 11-on-11. And he got his wish.
Yeah, after that debut, Madden the video game continued to pick up steam through the 90s in a big way. And John himself, many will remember, was a commentator for the series for many years. And now here we are in the 2020s, and this game has sold somewhere in the neighborhood of 150 million copies.
The drive continues as they search for a tying touchdown. Here's 1st and 10. And again, they'll go right back to their fullback. So the AFC with the football as we welcome you back. They come up on a 2nd down now in a game that looks like it's going to go down to the wire. They'll run with Allen. And he'll be taken down at the 20 after a gain of just 1.
So, CD, you look at the accumulation of John Madden's achievements in the world of football, the coaching success, the Super Bowl title, the incredible career as a broadcaster with 12 Emmy Awards, Madden the video game. It was very fitting back in 2006 that John Madden got the call to be enshrined into the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
A more deserving person you will not find. He gave an incredible speech on that day, Brandon. So many of his former Raider players were in attendance. He talked about how he envisioned that when the last person turns off the lights in the hall every night, that the bus talk football amongst themselves. And what a discussion that might be.
Yeah, he finished his speech by saying, "Today feels like the second time in my life that I'm being carried off on the shoulders of others. Yet instead of off the field, it's into the Hall of Fame. This has been the sweetest ride of them all."
A looming decision to make on the conversion, down 7, but first things first, they need to score as they come up on 1st and goal. And yes, he's into the end zone, so they get the late score they needed, and now the extra point can tie this thing up in the final minute.
Well, nothing fancy there, Charles. You had 3 tight ends on the field. They were going to run the football. The defense knew it, but the defense couldn't stop it.
And I haven't met an offensive line yet that doesn't get more satisfaction out of running the football into the end zone than pass protecting. They had determination on their side, and they got it done.
Vinatieri now to tack on the PAT. And no sweat, he puts it through, and we are tied here in the 4th. And what a drive that was. 16 plays all told.
And the touchdown and PAT mean we are tied here in the final minute of play.
This one tied at 14 now as he sends this one away.
Taken at the goal line. And he'll get it up across the 20 to the 21-yard line. The offense for the NFC ready to get their next drive started. And Charles, obviously not much time left. I'm curious to see if there's enough for them to get into field goal range and try to win this thing.
And partner, you and I both know the save calls to kneel and just take it into overtime. But it's also very tough to pass up a chance to win it right now as well. But remember, if you do attempt that, it's got to be a big play downfield and still leave yourself enough time to get your field goal unit out there and kick for the win.
2nd down, and back they go to Sanders.
And he'll be upended at the 28-yard line. Just a 3-yard gain there. It's a little teaching moment here. Overtime rules. Remind us how this goes, partner.
Okay, so in the past, we had sudden death. First team to score wins, but no longer. Now, if the team receives the ball, scores a touchdown, they win the game. If they kick a field goal, though, or don't score, the other team gets a possession. And after both teams get a possession, then we're into sudden death. First team to score wins the game.
How fitting is this? Extra football at the Coliseum. Let's just keep playing. Back underway in the John Madden Legacy game. And a good return, able to get out across the 35 to the 36. Ready to begin their next drive here, the NFC offense. And everyone knows the OT rules, Charles, but pretty simple formula. They go down and get a field goal, we continue play, but if they can find the end zone on this possession, ball game over.
And as meticulously as all teams plan for a game, I don't doubt for a second on that offense coordinator's play sheet, he's got some overtime plays that he wants to run. I know it sounds crazy, but they plan for everything. 1st and 10 all the way throughout the game, 2nd and 7, whatever. Right now, he's looking at that play sheet saying, if we get to overtime, what can we break out that they haven't seen?
The tackle by Rod Woodson.
That was well played there defensively. 2 tight ends in the formation, which essentially gave them 7 blockers up front. Hard to imagine with all that size and beef, that they could let a tackler through, but that's exactly what happened. A loss resulted.
After the loss, they'll come up 2nd and 13. Another run here with Sanders. And he's going to get this one down to the 45. They'll get 4 on 2nd down, but it leaves them with 3rd and still 9 to go. They'll come to the line here needing 9 yards to pick up the first. Now a first throw here in overtime. Got a man, it's Jerry Rice. And he goes down, but not before getting this inside the 25. Great way to convert on 3rd down there. 21 yards the play. On 1st and 10, it's Sanders. And they're knocking on the door now. As a good run there, going to take this to about the 10-yard line. Another good gain. That's now 35 yards combined on those last 2 plays. Now Favre. And this will be caught. It's a touchdown. And absolute stunned silence here as they have come in and stolen this one in overtime. So the game-winning touchdown came through the air in overtime. 4 quarters wasn't enough. We were treated to a really good one, weren't we, partner?
That we were, and I just love being able to be witness to a game like this all the way through. Who's going to win it? Oh, what? We're getting overtime? Great for us. A lot of tension on the field. Very tough. Not a surprise it ended with a passing touchdown. That's the way we play in the NFL. But the execution was pretty darn good.
And Hall not going to bring this one out. The offense for the AFC set to go now. And as the offense begins another drive here, pretty simple, Charles. They want to carbon copy what happened the last time out when they ended their drive in the end zone.
You're right about that, partner. Sounds pretty simple, doesn't it? Just score again, but we know it's not that simple because we don't just make adjustments at halftime if you're a good football team. You spend that time on the sideline, you study what's on the notes and the tablets, and you make those adjustments to prevent a repeat of the last drive. Series to series, the best teams, that's how they get it done.
And we'll find out here soon enough whether those adjustments are enough defensively. And they work this well upfield across the 45. 22 yards there, a first down.
But one of the ways the quarterbacks keep all the receivers alive in a play, never lock in on any one guy. Make sure you keep your eyes moving, scan the field. And here he finds the open guy for a nice pickup.
Brady now on first down. Oh, not sure he saw the linebacker there as that's batted down and incomplete. Now a timeout called for by the offense. They'll be left with just 1 remaining here at OT. Brady's incompletion on first down leads to a 2nd and 10. Back to throw again. Got a man, it's Andre Reed. And they'll get him down on the other side of midfield. Now a timeout called for by the offense. It'll be their 2nd and final timeout, remember, here in overtime. We'll be back. They are in need of 6 yards here if they hope to move the chains. Brady to throw again. Oh, and that's so close to being intercepted. That could have been a big turnover in overtime if he had held on. Instead, though, it is still 4th down. They'll go for it. It's Brady. It's tipped, but it doesn't matter. He still catches it. And he is going to have enough for an AFC first down. So how about that? They risk it on 4th down, and they're rewarded. 2nd and 10. Brady. Nowhere to go here. He lost the football. So possession still theirs, but now they face a 3rd down.
To throw is Brady. Got his man complete over the middle. It's Gonzalez. And he'll be brought down just shy of the 40.
That pattern and scheme was well defensed on third down. He tried to just sprint from one side of the field to the other, and they got it to him quickly. But no chance at yards after the catch there, and they stop him short.
Brady to throw for it on fourth down. Over the middle, complete. It's Gonzalez. But they're going to wrap him up as he'll go down well.
So a thrilling finish here in overtime to a game that no one wanted to see end. And for all of us at EA Sports, one final look back as we say, this one's for you, Coach.
I just say this, I thank you all very much. This has been the sweetest ride of them all.